Hey, do you ever stand on the side of a road looking out and see a motorcycle rider on a Harley with a ponytail buzzing along the highway? Do you ever wonder where he goes after the ride is over? Do you ever think maybe he's going home to write poetry? Well, believe it or not, that is exactly what our next guest does. My name is Vin Dacquino, and our next guest is Bill Heffron. Bill, thank you for joining us. Let's talk writing.
Yes, Vinny, how are you doing today?
You're a poet and a Harley Rider.
That's correct.
Unusual. Tell me a little bit about your background. Have you always been a poet?
I have not always been a poet, although I always enjoyed writing poetry and writing when I was in high school. Got away from writing in my adult life until very close to retirement. And I got an idea for a Harley-Davidson poem one day, and that started the ball rolling.
So, a Harley-Davidson poem, that's very specific. You're not talking about motorcycle poems, you're talking about Harley-Davidson poems.
That's correct. When I started this project to write a book, I had a self-imposed rule that I had to say Harley or Harley-Davidson in every one of my poems somewhere.
So this book is 100 poems on Harley-Davidson, and every poem has the word Harley-Davidson in it.
Somewhere in the poem, every poem had to. It was kind of a self-imposed rule that I learned to disdain after a while, especially when you're looking for rhymes.
Yeah. All right, so you write poetry, and again, what's your background? What did you do for a living? You didn't write poems for a living.
Actually, I was a financial advisor for,
Really?
for many years, and the idea for a book of poems actually came about on a business trip. I was flying out to San Francisco one day. I was working diligently for several hours, crunching numbers, and I decided to take a little break, had a yellow pad in front of me, and scribbled a few lines, and learned all about revision,
Yeah.
but eventually came out with a poem.
So that was the birth of your poetry.
That's correct.
Is that first poem in this book?
Yes, it is. This poem is entitled Harley History. Harley history, America's pride, you are number one. Start one up and you'll be eyed by every mother's son. Learn the history why we ride, loyalty by the ton. Let the knockoffs run and hide, or they will be shunned. Gave armed forces a great ride, starting with World War I. Ride with patriots side by side, proudly into the sun. Harley history, America's pride, you are number one. Moment of silence for riders that died when the day is done.
Wow. So this is, the first poem was on the history of Harley. Now, when you say the word Harley, your face lights up. Tell me about Harley. What does Harley mean to you?
Well, Harley-Davidson, a lot of people don't realize, was a very, very loyal American company. They started production in 1903, and during World War I and World War II, all the Harley-Davidsons that the company produced just went to America for the war effort. They were used by all of the services during World War I and World War II. And they didn't gouge the government with $500 seats for their Harleys and anything.
Won't mention the airlines.
So, in other words, when you're riding, you see a lot of Harley riders with flags on their bikes. We're just a very loyal and patriotic group of guys and ladies.
Now, when you say group, are you talking about gangs? Were you part of a Harley gang?
No, I've always shied away from joining any clubs and or gangs. I'm a weekend rider. I have a group of friends that we ride with, but mostly family people, and we just like the sport of riding.
Mm-hmm. So you get together with a bunch of friends, jump on your Harleys. Do your other friends have Harleys?
I'm not prejudiced. I will ride with anybody. But most of my friends do have Harleys. Yes. But if we're going out for a ride, any friend is invited
Loyalty's
along.
good.
Yeah.
So, big question. Where did this begin in your childhood? Did you own a motorcycle? Where did the seed come from that created this Harley Rider?
I guess it started very young with me. I used to liberate my parents and grandparents playing cards and strap, actually paper clip or clip them onto the spokes of the bicycle to make noise. I put a lawnmower engine on my bicycle when I was 12 years old.
Get out of here. And
And
did it work?
I was the only kid in the neighborhood who got it to work, actually. And then I bought my first motorcycle just shy of my 16th birthday, and I've always had one registered ever since.
Wow. So you had your first motorcycle when you were 16?
That's correct.
Now, small motorcycle?
Yeah, that was a little 150cc Honda Dream, they called it.
My first was a Suzuki 90.
Okay.
And then I fell off, scraped my knee, and that was also my last. So, all right, so it started very young, and now you put this lawnmower engine on this bike, and the thing actually went. So I'm guessing you have a mechanical ability. I mean, do you service your own bikes?
Yes.
Wow.
Actually, I have an old Sports that I bought in August of 1975, and I've taken that bike totally apart. Every bolt, nut, and screw, and put it back together myself.
Wow. And it still works?
It starts right
I
up.
could do the same thing, but it won't work when I'm done.
I've been lucky. Well, actually, I read the manual.
There you go. I can't do that either. So, all right. So now you write your first poem. How much time before you get to the second poem?
I started on the second poem probably about a couple of weeks after that,
Oh, wow.
and tried to move along as quickly as I could. The total book was about a 5-year project,
Wow.
and I spent a tremendous amount of time revision,
Yeah.
and
Many people don't realize that writing isn't always the hard part. Rewriting is the hard part. To go back and look at it. Some people think, whoa, it's a poem. Man, how long could it be to do a poem? Are all of your poems the same, or do they vary in length? And do they all rhyme? Do they not rhyme? How's that work?
I have several poems. I'd say the book is broken down into poems that do rhyme, poems that do not rhyme. It's different categories. And poetry, you have to get your sequencing right, you have to get your meter and your timing right, and the rhyme has to come in the right place. Sometimes you'd work for weeks. You wouldn't work constantly on the poem, but it would be there, and you couldn't find that one line. I'd always keep a yellow pad in my car while I was commuting to work, just if that one line hit me, at least I could write it down.
Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night and say, I got it?
Yes, yes, I have.
Yeah, and then you get up. You actually get up
I'd
and write
actually
the poem?
get up and
Wow.
and scribble a few lines down, and then get back into bed.
Wow. So you have 100 poems in here.
That's correct.
This is called Poems for the Harley Rider by Bill Heffron. And tell me, you have 100 poems. Are they like in categories? I mean, are they grouped in any way? Or are they all one theme?
They'll fall into different categories, but
Okay.
they're not actually lined up in the book.
Yeah,
in
so it
in
doesn't
those
say like
categories.
silly poems, sad poems, love poems. So there's no separate labels?
There's no separate labels,
Okay.
but they're all intertwined in the book.
So tell me some of these categories or groups.
Well, I have some let's say, descriptive poems, some poems about accidents, some poems about economics, the cost of owning a Harley, probably a police stop here and there, and some whimsical things.
All right, I see you've put markers in your book. Give us a taste of one and tell me what category it comes out of.
Well, I'd call this would come out of sort of a whimsical
Okay.
sort of situation. And I call it Dead Flies.
All right.
Dead flies on my vest, hitting with a splat. Heading back to my nest, found also on my hat. Fitting end to the pest, one less we have to scat. Dead flies are the best, anyone can tell you that. Badge of courage on my chest, fly lost his combat. More dead flies is my quest, big, juicy, and fat. Ride my Harley just for jest, spoiled like a brat. Heard there's more flies to the west, aiming for the gnat.
Take a wild guess. How many bugs have you eaten?
Oh, well, I've been riding about 48 years, so I've probably eaten my share of bugs. If you're carrying on a conversation and you're riding, every
Not a
now
good
and then
idea.
one goes down the throat, and it's not a good scene.
Now, you ride alone?
I ride with some friends, I ride with my wife, and I ride alone.
So your wife's into this too?
Yes.
Now, you recently did a road trip, yes?
Yes, we did. I loaded one of the Harleys in a big Chevy van that I have, and I hooked up a 22-foot camper and headed on out to Arizona, and then snaked my way on back to Florida. About a 6.5-month trip.
Wow. So you take the van, and you get to some destination, and you pull the Harley out, and your wife rides behind you,
That's correct.
and you go on like a little tour of wherever you are.
Sure. Most of the campsites that you stop at have their section with brochures.
Ah.
We just walk in there, pick out a few brochures, unload
go.
the bike, and take a
Wow.
ride.
So tell me about this trip. Now, where did you go on this last trip?
My ultimate destination was out in Tucson, Arizona. I spent Christmas with my 94-year-old mother.
Whoa. You didn't take her on the Harley, did you?
No, but I would have if I could have got her on. She just refuses to go.
Yeah, I can't understand why. Get her some leather pants and get her on there.
Well, I did go into the Harley dealership 2 years ago out there with my mother just to pick up a T-shirt, which is kind of customary. When you go to a different town, you pick up a Harley T-shirt.
Oh.
And when I walked through the door, the sales lady came up to me and says, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, my mom wants to look at a new Road King," which sort of broke the ice and got everybody laughing.
Wow. Tell me, now, you also mentioned on the road trip something about a Harley museum.
Yes.
So there is a Harley museum where they have, Harleys from the beginning. When was the first Harley created?
The first Harley was built in 1903.
Wow. Wow.
And they still out in the Milwaukee, the Harley Museum, they have that original motorcycle. I understand. I've been
Is
told.
that right? You haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'll be seeing it in about 3 weeks.
Sounds good. So you're off on another road trip.
Yes, I'll be leaving.
Now,
next
you mentioned
Monday.
something about 2 years.
I retired about a year ago, and I plan on spending at least another 2 years just traveling.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Tell me about your first Harley.
My first Harley I bought in August of 1975. It was a limited edition Harley. It was actually a 76 model. I got it early, and Harley-Davidson made 999 of these models.
Only?
Because it
Wow.
was what they called a Liberty Edition. It was 1976 was America's bicentennial, so Harley-Davidson made a tribute motorcycle. They made 999 of them, and I still have mine.
You still have yours?
Yes.
Your first
My first Harley.
Wow.
And I never added any chrome or anything to it. It's just like it came out of the box, and it's a riding show bike.
All in perfect condition?
Yes.
And you can still ride it?
Yes.
Can I borrow that this Sunday?
No.
That was pretty fast no, Bill.
Actually, I never let anybody ride my motorcycles.
Is that right?
I have 3 adult
blame you.
boys, and they've never ridden any
You
of
have
my
3 boys?
Yes.
Now, are any of them Harley riders?
2 of them are.
2 out of 3. There you go. And they have their own Harleys.
Yes.
And do you service them for them?
No.
Good idea not to touch another man's Harley.
Exactly.
Sounds right to me. Okay, I'd love to hear more. What else do you have marked off there?
Well, let's see what we have here. We have something that's a little descriptive. It's called the perfect ride. Gliding along ribbons of endless blacktop, etched by a yellow line. Warm crystal day, glorious clear blue sky, Harley propelled, man holding handlebars, woman holding man, emotions excelled, feelings of harmony and union, Harley, man, woman, and the universe.
Whoa. So, when you ride a Harley, you're in another world?
I try and pay attention to what I'm doing.
That would be a good idea. Yeah.
But it can, if I'm riding solo on a nice quiet country road with very little traffic, it can be the most relaxing, peaceful experience that I've ever experienced.
Do you favor day or night?
I favor day only for safety,
Right.
but I love to ride at night.
Sunset, riding out into the sunset.
Yes.
So, do you ride around here?
I ride every place I can get a chance, anytime
The
I get a chance.
Taconic. I noticed a lot of bikes. You ride the Taconic?
I love to ride the Taconic.
Yeah, it's a beautiful ride.
Yes.
Even in my van, it's a beautiful ride. All right, so you're a Harley rider, and you like to be one with the universe. Give me a sample of another kind of poem. Yeah, I know there's poems about accidents, about police.
Okay, let's take something about,
Do you ever get a ticket?
yes.
We'll leave that right there.
We'll
right?
leave that right there.
Okay, good idea.
Wasn't my fault, though, honest.
Of
It wasn't my
course it wasn't.
This is a poem about an accident called Broken Bones.
Oh.
Broken bones snap like a twig, wishing my Harley had time to zig. Crashing straight into that rig, was thrown around like an Irish jig. I was going as fast as a Russian MiG. Why'd that truck have to be so big? Thought my grave they'd have to dig, but cheated Grim Reaper out of his vig. I'm alive, broken up, but can you dig? Got the speeding ticket from the pig.
Uh-oh.
No disrespect to the law authorities.
Of course not. Serious accident? Been in one?
Yes, I had one in 1998.
Whoa, how bad?
An elderly gentleman pulled out in front of me and I hit him broadside.
Oh.
I broke my back in 4 places and various other sundry bruises and breaks.
Whoa, how long before you were able to get back in the saddle?
About 2 years before I could actually ride.
Wow.
And when I started riding, I actually had to strap my cane to the handlebars because I could ride better than I could walk.
Oh, no, so you strapped your cane to it. Were you reluctant to get back on again?
No, I was actually very anxious to get back
Yeah.
on. It's hard to explain,
Yeah.
but
But you survived.
yes.
You got through a lot of broken bones. And is that the only serious accident?
Yes, thank
Thank
God.
God for that.
Yeah,
Hopefully there won't be any more either.
hopefully.
Yeah. So, accidents. And are people generally courteous to motorcycle riders?
I think people are generally courteous to motorcycle riders. I believe that a lot of times they don't see them or they don't realize how small they are and how fast they're going. A motorcycle will be doing the same speed as a car will be doing, but because it's smaller, it looks further away, and a lot of people will pull out in front of you.
Yeah. Hit me with another poem. What category is this coming out of?
Oh, let's see. This one will come out of economics, the costly repair.
Oh, man. I do want to talk about that. Go ahead.
The costly repair. Repairing my Harley will cause me some pain, the cost of just parts, an economic drain. The estimate's big as I knew it would. The noise that it made, it just can't be good. I push it on in through the shop door, mechanic open up, and the shrapnel hits the floor. They hand me the bill, my heart goes weak. I stutter and stammer and can't even speak.
Speaking of economics, my mind is still stuck in the 70s when you could buy a motorcycle brand new for like $5,000. Can you still do that?
Not a Harley-Davidson, no.
What does a Harley-Davidson run? I mean, a nice...
Well, I just recently bought a 2012 Road King, and the price tag came out about $22,000.
That's unbelievable. My first car was $2,000, brand new out of the showroom in the 70s.
Yeah, my first house was $15,000, and it had a bathroom.
Your Harley doesn't have a bathroom? No. Doesn't even have a roof. Wow. So 20,000 and more. So you have to be careful. Did you ever have a motorcycle stolen?
Yes, actually, when I was in the military, it was a very sad experience. It was the only mode of transportation that I had, and I ended up with a flat tire on a long bridge in New Haven. And when I went back to get the bike, it was gone. So I lost my only mode of transportation.
Ouch. So in the service, you rode?
Yes.
What did you do in the service? Were you special branch or?
I was in the submarine service,
Wow.
and I was actually what they call a yeoman. I ran the ship's office.
Wow. Wow. And you rode, did you ever have a car when you were in service? Always a bike?
Just the last several months when I was in the service, I had a car.
But otherwise, it was mostly all
mostly,
bike.
mostly motorcycle, correct.
All right. I want another poem.
This one's called The Tired Old Harley. And it's kind of a play on an old nursery rhyme or Captain Hook. My valves are ticking like the croc that ate Captain Hook's right hand. My chain is slapping like the captain's Jolly Roger. My shingle tires are thumping like the captain's wooden leg on the poop deck at midnight. My Harley is tired and old. It needs many pieces of 8 or a visit from Peter Pan.
Will you ever be too old to ride?
I will probably always ride. At one point in time, I'm going to have to either go to a sidecar or a trike because I'll be too old to hold it up. But I plan on riding as long as I can.
Harleys are heavy.
Yeah, my bike weighs about 748 pounds
Wow.
dry, I believe.
So you can't carry it up the stairs at night, huh?
No, I have my wife do that. I'm sorry, dear.
You're going to be in trouble when you get home. All right. I want another poem. What about a cop poem?
All right, let's see.
Got one on tickets?
Oh, tickets, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Let's see here. Call this Demons. And again, no disrespect to the police authorities. The I am cool demon appears as I mount my big twin Harley. He is joined by the I've got balls demon, as well as the reckless demon, and I can't ignore the speed demon as he writhers within my skin. Intrepidly I start my engine. The wheelie demon rears his ugly head. In submission, I feel my hands strangle the throttle. This man is destined to ride hard today, just one of those days. Noise, smoke, and a front wheel skyward, with the speed demon now firmly in control. The excursion is on. Destiny tempts fate, and fate produces the law demon in my mirrors with his flashing lights to write the tickets.
You have a favorite?
I think that was probably just
Yeah,
it.
I believe that. That's funny. All right, we're running out of time. Is there any one poem in there that you want to make sure that you deliver to us today?
Well, I'll read one more.
One more,
It's
good.
kind of a cutesy little poem.
All right.
It's called Sweetie Pie and I. Writing these, I had to try and get in touch with my feminine side, which was very difficult every
yeah,
now
for
and
Harley
then.
riders, I'd
But
imagine.
ladies do ride too, and I had to have some equal time. So,
Okay.
Sweetie Pie and I. Sweetie Pie and I sure love to ride. We giggle and quip and ride side by side. She has her own Harley, and that's okay too. We ride the day long, then head home for a few. When the boys ride hard, she jumps on with me. Riding fast and tight scares her, you see. Sweetie Pie and I, two of a kind, riding our Harleys, leaving troubles behind.
So, is there a sequel coming to this? Are you still writing, even though the 100 are here and in the book?
I'm not writing Harley poems anymore. I have an idea for another book that I'm
Really?
starting to work on. And I don't know how long that's going to take me, but
What's the subject?
the subject would be actually a bachelor's cookbook for the guy who cannot boil water. I'm going to start out by teaching him how to
Reserve
boil
two
water.
of those for me, would you? No, actually, I love cooking, and I do a lot of cooking. My wife's a good cook, fortunately, because I cook, but she cooks, really cooks. So it's a cookbook.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you're already starting to put the recipes together.
Yes.
Well, I love what you're doing. I love the poems. Where can we get these? You have a website.
Yes,
And
I
think
believe
we've
they
had it
posted.
on.
Yeah, the website
Yep.
will be posted up
Okay.
there. So if
And we can go to that website and we can purchase this book on that. It's a good thing. Well, I cannot be more pleased. I'm waiting for your cookbook. I want to make some of those recipes. Are they easy enough for me to do?
yes, they are.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. And you're going to keep on riding.
That's correct.
Well, Bill, I cannot thank you enough for joining us today, for being part of the show. I'd love to have you back. When the cookbook is done, get yourself over here. You'll do that?
I sure will, Vinny.
Glad to hear that.
Thank
Bill,
you very much.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for writing Poems for the Harley Rider.